One of the smartest things a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms does is hide its most interesting questions in plain sight. There are no grand speeches announcing them, no dramatic reveals spelling them out for the audience. Instead, the story lets small moments linger. Unanswered looks, awkward pauses, things not said. And one of those unanswered questions quietly hangs over the entire season. Was Dunk ever truly a knight? Most people stop there. But if you follow the logic of the story just a little bit further, another question appears. One that the show never directly asks, but might be even more important. What if the man who raised Dunk wasn't a knight either? At first, that idea sounds almost wrong. After all, Dunk's entire understanding of knighthood comes from this man. His morals, his behavior, his sense of honor. If that foundation is false, then everything built on top of it becomes complicated. And that's exactly why this theory fits the story so well. The cycle at the heart of the story. This series is obsessed with cycles. Not destiny in the magical sense, but human patterns repeating themselves across generations. An old, struggling knight takes in a desperate boy and shapes him into what he needs. Years later, that boy grows up and unknowingly recreates the exact same situation. Dunk is not special because he breaks the cycle. He's special because he continues it. The show is extremely deliberate about this. It doesn't just tell us, it shows us. Egg doesn't simply become Dunk's squire. He mirrors Dunk. The language they use mirrors each other. The situations mirror each other. Even the physical imagery mirrors each other. When Egg argues his case, he doesn't promise greatness or destiny. He says something much simpler, that Dunk can teach him the best he can. That phrase matters because it's the exact way Dunk describes how he himself was taught. Not perfectly, not completely, just the best someone could manage. That alone tells us something important. This is a story about imperfect inheritance. Visual parallels that aren't accidental. The show reinforces this idea visually, and it does it repeatedly. Egg sharpening a stick in a tree. A flashback of young Dunk doing the same thing. These aren't just callbacks. They're deliberate signals that Egg is stepping into Dunk's old place, and that Dunk is stepping into the role once held by his mentor. By the time we reach the finale, the symbolism becomes unavoidable. Dunk and Egg ride forward together. Behind them, the image of Dunk's former master drifts away, veering off into the field until he disappears completely. Dunk looks back, not with regret, but with understanding. This isn't just a goodbye. It's a transfer of identity. Dunk no longer needs to define himself as a squire who never quite became what he was supposed to be. Now, he's the one setting the example. Whether he's officially qualified or not no longer matters, because the world will treat him as a knight regardless. And that raises a dangerous possibility. If Dunk is a fraud, does it even matter? Throughout the season, the show quietly dismantles the idea that knighthood is about ceremony. Dunk acts with restraint when others don't. He protects the powerless. He risks everything for what he believes is right. Meanwhile, many men who were officially knighted behave like monsters. So the story presents us with a contradiction. The man who lacks the title behaves like a true knight, while those who possess it often fail to live up to it. Which leads to the obvious conclusion. If Dunk doesn't need a knighting to be a knight, maybe his mentor didn't either. The scene that changes everything. The most important moment in this entire discussion happens beneath a tree, during a scene that's easy to overlook. A storm is rolling in. The air is heavy. We know what's coming, even if the characters don't say it out loud. This is the end. Dunk finally asks the question he's carried for years. Why didn't you ever knight me? And instead of answering, his mentor collapses. Maybe he passes out. Maybe he's avoiding the question. Maybe it's a joke. But the result is the same. Dunk is never knighted. The showrunners have confirmed that this moment is intentionally ambiguous. We never see what happens immediately afterward. Technically, it's possible that Dunk was knighted off-screen. But ambiguity doesn't exist by accident, especially in a story this carefully constructed. A mirror held up to Dunk. Later, Dunk finds himself in the exact same position. Someone asks him to knight them, and suddenly Dunk hesitates. Not in a humorous way, not with excuses, but with genuine discomfort. Why? Because knighthood isn't just symbolic. It's generational. Any knight can make another knight, and that knight can make more, and so on, stretching forward into history. If Dunk's knighthood is built on a lie, then every knight he creates would also be built on that lie. And Dunk cannot live with that. Now ask yourself something important. Where did Dunk learn that guilt? The silence in his mentor's story. We hear plenty of stories about Dunk's mentor, battles, roads traveled, lessons learned. But one thing is conspicuously missing. We never hear who knighted him. That's not a small omission. For someone who loves stories, that detail should matter. It should come up naturally, especially to a boy who idolized him. And yet, nothing. No great knight. No ceremony. No lineage. His identity isn't tied to a house or a legacy. He's named after a place, a poor one. A detail that subtly reinforces how far removed he is from traditional power structures. And we already know, through Dunk's experience, how easy it is to fake knighthood if you're brave enough and desperate enough. Convince one lord, win one tourney, build a reputation. After that, no one questions you. The books make it even clearer. In the source material, the hints are even stronger. After his mentor's death, Dunk briefly considers becoming a squire again, something a real knight would never do. The thought only makes sense if, deep down, Dunk still sees himself as unfinished. Later, he reflects internally on what it feels like to want something so badly that you'd lie. Not a small lie, but a life-defining one, just to get close to it. That lie isn't about egg. It's about knighthood. Even early dialogue reinforces this idea. When someone claims that the gods don't favor frauds, Dunk quietly questions why they seem to favor him. He calls himself a fraud, not because he failed morally, but because he succeeded while lying. Why this theory actually makes the story better. Here's the key point. This theory doesn't diminish Dunk or his mentor. It elevates them. Because if neither of them were truly knights, then their commitment to honor means more, not less. They weren't following rules, they were choosing values. And that fits perfectly with the broader themes of the story, where the institution of knighthood is shown as deeply flawed, while the idea of knighthood survives through people who technically don't qualify. The hesitation to knight another isn't cowardice. It's responsibility. It's knowing that lies echo forward and choosing not to let them. So what do I think? I don't believe Dunk was ever officially knighted. And I strongly suspect the man who raised him wasn't either. Not because they were deceivers, but because they understood the weight of what that lie would become. And maybe that's the quiet tragedy at the center of this story, that the best examples of knighthood are carried by people who don't believe they deserve the title. Let me know what you think. Do you believe Dunk's mentor was a real knight? Or do you think the cycle began long before Dunk ever picked up a sword? And if the truth were ever confirmed, would it change how you see them? Thanks for watching.